Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Peter Good. I'm the lecturer in Early Modern Europe and the Islamic World at the University of Kent.
Thanks so much for joining us again, Peter. So today we're going to talk a
Pleasure.
little bit more about your career in academia and about your lectureship. So if you could start off with why you wanted to stay in academia. Actually, did you want to stay in academia while you were doing your PhD? Was that a thought you had already?
Yeah, it was. So when I started, I'd basically decided that academia was a route that I wanted to pursue. So my PhD was funded through the AHRC and the British Library, as well as the University of Essex. So I'd basically, I'd explored other career paths before I'd started the PhD. And yeah, this was basically me pinning my colours to the mast and saying, yeah, this is what I want to do. So yeah, I did have a view to sort of going forward in academia, basically from the word go. For various reasons of other potential career paths that I'd wanted to pursue, either hadn't worked out or presented other potential issues. So yeah, for example, I was quite a keen musician. I worked as a musical director, but I basically could never make that like professionally work, unfortunately. So much as I loved doing it and enjoyed doing it, I earned some money doing it. I was moderately successful, but that was as good as it ever got. So yeah, by the time I got into the PhD, I'd received the funding and stuff. It was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go with this. I can do this one.
That's incredible. I didn't know you had a career in music and that.
Yeah, my shameful former life as an entertainer.
Amazing. Oh, you need a bit of razzmatazz in academia.
No, yeah, a little bit of showmanship. Yeah, I always the joke in my family is that did you know that people actually used to go and to hear Peter like conduct and to sing. They used to pay him to shut up. Um, so so yeah, no, there's a brief part-time former career as a musical director for choirs.
That's fantastic. Anyway, we'll go into that at some in another occasion. But how did you find out about your current position? Was it something that you pursued actively? Did you use a website, or was it something that was recommended to you?
So I'd worked at the University of Kent before. So my first job, in fact, just after the PhD, was as a research associate on the political economy of international commerce project, which was run by Professor Will Pettigrew, who's now up at Lancaster. But he was based at the University of Kent. So I sort of started my sort of post PhD research career here. So I had a year on that project. I did 3 months teaching cover for Professor Jan Loop, who's now at the University of Copenhagen, and did a term's worth of teaching cover for him while he was on research leave, which we started directly after the research contract ended. And then I had a 9-month hiatus, so I was doing some translation work with Ed Smith, who's the I think he's presidential fellow at the University of Manchester and the John Rylands Library, doing translation and some translation work from Persian into English, and trying to find stuff for his project. And I did a couple of other sort of freelance bits and pieces over the course of that 9 months. And then Jan Lube got an ERC funded project, and basically there was a 3-year post come up to basically teach the same as I taught for the 3 months before. So I had to obviously had to reapply and go through the whole process again. But essentially, I did have something of an in already. I'd worked at the institution before, but I had to go through the whole process again, and it was very competitive as it always is. So yeah, I do feel quite privileged to have been sort of brought back in.
Congratulations, then. It's very impressive, and it is very, as we all know, I mean, it is very competitive out there. So it's amazing that
Yeah.
you got a job. And in terms of preparing yourself for the application, how, I mean, it varies, of course, from institution to institution, but how was your path to it? Did you need to get references? Did you have to
Yeah.
prepare a teaching, like a teaching outline and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so I mean, academic applications, or whatever they are, whether for jobs or for postdocs, are incredibly complicated. They require an awful lot of labour, both in terms of sort of intellectual labour as well as physical time. So yeah, it does require a lot of preparation. You do have to sort of write a cover letter, a CV, give a statement on previous experience, answer umpteen sort of short answer questions that you obviously have to pre-plan. And says things like, it should take you about 15 minutes to fill out this. It never does. It never really those times.
No, that's very true.
Yeah, so yeah, it requires. I mean, I had to teach a seminar session, a short seminar session as well. So yeah, you had to prepare all of that material and be ready to go into the into the interview, not only to to teach. So you taught a group of undergrad, postgrad, and then also staff members on this. In the morning. There was then a presentation of research, so that was to members of faculty who came to ask questions and see the presentations, and then also a formal sit-down interview where you go through all of the sort of, what do you want to do with your career? Where have you been so far? What's your experience? So yeah, it was. Yeah, it's a whole day.
Yeah, it's sounds like a day and a bit more as well. And but it's good. I mean, it's good for us to sort of like bear in mind what we're up against, what to expect as well. And I suppose following on to that, it's why did you apply for a job and why not a postdoc? I mean, what are our options actually after a PhD? I know you said you did a research assistantship job, so yeah, what do you think? What are our options and why did you personally go for a job, not a postdoc?
I went for postdocs as well. I just didn't get them.
Oh, that's the topic. Sorry.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't think there's anything to choose between it.
You don't.
So
Mhm.
there's certain prestige to getting a funded postdoc. It ticks a lot of boxes. It also gives you a fair amount of freedom in terms of publication, further research, and all that kind of thing. So I think I would argue that possibly a postdoc is like a premier route if you can get one, but any postdoc position in the UK is going to attract, unless it's incredibly specialised. Most postdocs, so whether it's the British Academy, whether it's the Labour Home Trust, or any of these other sort of these regular programmatic fellowships, you're looking really at hundreds of applicants per place. It's incredibly competitive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is there anything to choose between the two? Well, kind of, as in as a researcher and as a scholar, I guess a postdoc is arguably better, but not really.
Yeah,
I mean,
the end goal is a lectureship anyway, if you think about it.
Yeah. So I mean, but so it depends, right? So if you go for something like the research assistantship was quite good for me because it meant that I got to do more primary research. I had time to do writing and to do some planning. I made good headway with changing my thesis. So I got the job in September and I had my viva in January. So I mean, I spent some of that time, obviously not while I was working, but not having to do teaching and stuff like that gave me the freedom to be working on working on various bits and pieces. I got to do a lot more primary research. I got to explore other avenues of research with the team that I was working with, who really great bunch of up and coming scholars. So Ed Smith, David Vivers, Asker Brock, who's now over in Aalborg, Misha Ewan at Manchester, Liam Hayden, who now works for UKRI. So they're really good bunch of people, as well as Will, who ran the project. So yeah, it was, yeah, we were a little sort of community of, you know, in and of ourselves. It gave us some opportunities to sort of read each other's work and work together, which was, yeah, which was really nice.
That's very nice.
And yeah, the lectureship, yeah, that sort of led on thereafter. You know, as teaching cover again, I had to apply for it, and yeah, that gave me other skills. You know, I had to learn how to, you know, how to teach and how to present. I'd done some teaching already during my PhD, so that was sort of, you know, brushing off those skills and sort of bringing it back in. You know, writing lectures, you know, preparing seminars, yeah, so they flow and all of that kind of thing. And as you rightly say, I mean, the lectureship is really what we're all aiming for in the end, anyhow. And so, whichever way round you sort of prove your chops in these various skills, so whether it is, you know, further research, publication, teaching, grant preparation, your postdoc ticks off the, you know, further research and grant preparation because it's, you know, it's a grant and you've got it. But then, yeah, the teaching stuff is, you know, again comes along, and you just have to do that. Yeah, whether you have the opportunity during a postdoc, some people do, some people don't. Yeah,
Everyone's
I don't think it
different.
necessarily matters.
Yeah, I suppose everyone's path is different, and it's about opportunity, luck, and all of these things. But it's interesting for me to see how your career has unfolded after a PhD, and I hope that it gives us all it gives us all a little bit of hope. And just to go back to the PhD, how has your PhD helped your teaching? In terms of, do you get to teach your PhD topic, or is it more broad? You know, are the classes tailored to your PhD or vice versa? How has the experience been?
I do teach on my PhD topic to a certain extent. So I run a course, or I'm running a course, 2 courses this year, or this term actually, because I've got a 3rd one next term as well, which are early modern Islamic empires, where I teach broadly about the time period that I work on, as well as the geographical region. So I get to talk about Persia, which is great, sometimes at length. So I get to do, yeah, I know, who would want to pass up on that? So I do classes on things like, you know, the recent scholarship by Eaton and Niall Green, about, is it Niall Green? No, wait. Ooh, his book's right here and I've forgotten it. Yeah, Niall Green.
No.
On like the Persianate world, and this idea of the formulation of the Persianate world. So I've done some classes on that. So do I teach on the East India Company in Persia between 1700 and 1750? No, that was what my PhD was on. But I teach about the East India Company, I teach about Persia, I teach about the early modern period, and all of that is informed by the reading and you know, stuff that I did during my PhD. But I don't think very many scholars sort of say, okay, my first module is going to be my PhD from start to finish. Yeah, I guess it happens. It didn't happen to me.
No, but
But yeah, no. So bits and pieces.
that's interesting to know, because it's also puts us in, it contextualizes our work as well, I think, because the PhD is a big research on something quite small. And so yeah, it's just nice to see how it gets translated into the real world, as it were. So that's
yeah. As I said, yeah, sorry, I
no,
was just going to say bits of my research inform the way that I teach certain topics.
Yeah, no.
So like if I'm teaching like European Islamic world connections, then I bring out my own work on legal agreements like the Farman and stuff like that. So yeah, it does inform it, but yeah, no, I don't teach my PhD as a course from start to finish.
No, that's for the book. That's for the book. If they need to know, they'll read the book.
Yeah, absolutely.
And finally, what advice do you have for someone like me who's about to finish their PhD and want to stay in academia?
Oh no, see, now this is the tricky one, because I want to be positive, and I want to want to encourage as much as possible, because we're such a great discipline, right? Persian studies, around the world, is such a great discipline. But the first thing I would say is it's hard. It's really hard. Prepare yourself for the fact that it's going to be hard. You will probably make hundreds of job applications, and you will get tens of rejections, and most of them you just won't hear back from, and it hurts. So it's tough. Second of all, there are no guarantees that one job will lead to another. Sometimes they do. As I say, I've been really lucky, that I've managed to sort of keep hold of the work that I've done, and work very hard to do so. There are no guarantees that one thing will lead to another, unfortunately. So prepare yourself for that. I would also say that it's really important to recognize that the PhD is such a massive achievement in and of itself. And because academia is so competitive, if you stop at the PhD, or you don't get an academic job, and you leave academia, you go into another career path, that is not a failure of you either as an individual or of the quality of your research. It is not. Quite the opposite. The PhD in and of itself, that's the golden apple. It's a huge achievement. If you don't go further in academia, or don't spend more time in academia, go further makes it sound like this far and no further. If you don't continue on in academia, that is not a failure of as I say, either you as an individual, and this goes for anyone who does it. For you as an individual or your research, it's not. It's some part of it's luck. Part of it, you can slog your guts out and work really, really hard, and still, for whatever reason, the stars don't align. I feel incredibly privileged and incredibly lucky to have gotten as far as I do. But to be honest, at the end of my contract, which ends in 2022, September 2022. I have no guarantees that there's going to be another job for me. That may be it, and it's tough. So as I say, you can be resilient. You can be prepared for how difficult it's going to be, while at the same time recognizing that actually, you may not get there, but it's no fault in you.
To hold on to that, actually.
But also, I'd say give it a go. Apply for things. So I think apply for anything that seems broadly relevant to what you do, like sell yourself. So, like, if you're waiting for the job in modern British relations with the Tudor party, you may be waiting a really long time for that job.
Probably.
So, but you can do, you can sell yourself in loads of other ways. And again, this is one of the real strengths of being, an Iranologist or a Persianist, whichever of these terms you prefer for yourself. And that is that actually we do such a range of stuff. So as I say, I do the Indian Ocean, the Middle East, the early modern period, the East India Company, a little bit of economic history, a little bit of diplomatics. I do all of those things as part of my research, and it's not a difficulty for me to see how I will fit into different jobs in different categories, because my research does inform all of those disciplines, and the same is true of a whole range of other subjects. It's quite rare to be able to spin a PhD out of something which isn't interdisciplinary in that way.
I think that's very, very, very helpful. It's just to think more broadly, and also to be patient, and to also know when okay, I need to put my mental health first, I need to put my physical health first, and I think just to remember that the PhD it's in itself it's a big achievement. I think we tend to, or I anyway, tend to sort of skip over that as like, oh, it's no big deal, but actually it is a pretty big deal, especially with my own personal journey. Thank you so much, Peter, for your time and for sharing your thoughts and experiences. Super helpful. Thank you so much.
It's my absolute pleasure. Thanks very much for having me back again.